We are Brightside Theater.
Oh, hell, we're live. Home Theater Nerds, welcome to the Brightside Home Theater Podcast. The Home Theater Podcast, it's all about the experiences, the sights,
the sounds,
the scenes.
All right, first things first. Yeah, this one was not last week, too busy, but this week I actually got a chance to think about it. Oh, the smells too. There you go, Marcus. It was tough to sit down here and know that John isn't around, like, not permanently, but not just on vacation. So that was tough for me all day. I was like, and I thought of calling him today, but I didn't want that to be the habit. Like, I call him on show day because we've actually talked quite a bit since and we're like, hey, all right. But yeah, I miss him already. So no offense, Steve. Man. Love you, buddy. As
hey, man,
we talked earlier.
None taken. None taken. Or some taken. Either way.
Yeah, exactly.
And in fairness, yeah, I did too. I've been in touch with him as well and checking in and see how he's getting on. And apparently business is quite good at the moment.
Yeah.
So just
go
figure.
That too. Like, if it was like this before.
Yes. He did call it pity sales. But nevertheless... Yeah,
he's not shy about pity anything. I'll tell you that right now.
So yeah, no, he's doing okay. I mean, I'm hoping he's listening in, or at least we'll do at some point.
Yeah.
And I'm going to especially need him for next week because I've sent him a movie for him to watch so that we can talk about it next week. Because boy, oh boy, is it good.
I've had that one for so long.
You have.
In on the Kaleidoscape. I've had that one sitting there waiting. So maybe I'll get it. Probably not until October. As a little hint to everybody.
Well, quite. But boy, is it good.
Is it really?
I mean, I've reviewed the film with a screener, but not the disc, and it arrived today straight to the top of the pile. And boy, oh boy, almost reference in terms of audio. It is. Very cool.
Well, the way you're raving about it sounds like we got another Evil Dead Rise on our hands. I'm not going to like it. You're all going to like, no. Actually, what I hear, I'll like this one. Everything I've heard, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's a bit silly, but it's a straight horror thing. There's no comedy in this. And you get we've all been waiting for Master and Commander, haven't we, in 4K with Dolby Atmos. Yeah. This shows you what you can do with that similar setting. So next week we will be there will be much discussion, and hopefully John can weigh in a little bit on that because I've sent him the movie to watch. Yeah, and I think it's got the Atmos version. So I'm looking forward to that. Cool. Yeah, but if you can see it, Deej, if you can, then it's it'll rock the house. It really will. It's bassy and everything else. Anyway, that's next week.
All right. Now, you're supposed to do next week's show at the end of the show, but since when have we done anything professional? The chat, Steve, just signing on today for the first time since last week and scrolling through your conversation with everybody last week. I didn't even think that was possible. And then we had talked afterwards, and you were like, how great everybody was. And you were talking about the chat, and I was like, oh yeah, you could have done. I didn't even think of that. So that's awesome. Looking through here. Sorry about last week, but we're going to get to that in a second. But this is great.
It was cool. Yeah, it was good. I mean, as soon as we realized it wasn't going to happen, I scurried down to the cinema room and watched something that we're going to talk about in a bit. But I sort of checked in with it. I didn't realize you could do that either. Yeah. And yet, sure enough, there it was. And, everyone was chipping in and chatting away. And it was really good. And everybody was like, look, we get it. That's fine. And we'll see you next week. And, this is what I've been doing. And, it was fine. Could almost do a live chat. Just to chat for a couple of hours.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it was really cool. That was really good.
I got it. You know what I can do in the future if we want to, instead of canceling a show, I'm just going to show you how to set it up and do it yourself. So like if in a case like that, you could actually just run the show and take, because I've done that too. You just do the chat and that's the show. You know, like DJ couldn't make it. So you talk about your stuff and talk to the people in the chat, which would be awesome. And it keeps the consistency for everybody too.
Yeah, I'd happy to do that. You know, I can talk for, England or the world. And
you and me both.
In fairness, and in fairness, everyone jumping in last week, we literally could have done. That would have been a really easy show to do. And even if it's only an hour, hour and a half, and everyone's kind of talked out, well, that's fine. That's a show, and everyone's here, and and like you say, it keeps the ball rolling. It keeps the consistency there. And it's great fun. So, and I don't mind turning off the chat and just talking to myself for 2 hours. It's the way I guarantee an intelligent conversation.
It's kind of how we met. We just been sitting. You saw me on here talking to myself week after week, and you're like, I do that too.
Yeah.
And we started with just really long DMs.
Yes. Yeah. It did. Yeah.
And then we progressed to our 60-minute, 10-minute interviews.
Yes, none. They were never near 10 minutes ever. Not even close. Not even on holiday.
No, yeah. When you were in Spain,
yeah.
There's the sunrise, and there's the sunset.
We were going, the whole lot done. Yeah. So no worries. And talking about the chat, I'll say hi to everybody that's
please
in.
Do.
So Steve Att, of course, is in the chat, as we like to say. Mikey's in. Don't know if you've got the puppy yet, Mike. I haven't seen any pictures, but so if you have, let us know. Dom's in. Michael O is in. Hi, Mike. Marcus Beebe is in. The chap talking about the smells. Jordan's popped in. Say hi. Ooh, probably should say happy birthday to Jordan for last Tuesday. He was looking forward to being on the show, but so happy birthday for that, Jordan. 30 years old now, mate, getting old. And we can say that as people, in or nearing our 50s. We've got John Tooth. Hi, John. And then Dom. Yeah, I've said hi to Dom. And so everybody's in. And Dom talking about, the news that just hit this evening.
Yeah, what is that? I haven't heard that.
Yeah, so it's credit where it's due. Bill Hunt, careful how I say that. Bill Hunt, he broke the story about Sony and Disney have inked a deal for Sony to put out all of Disney's physical media, or at least a significant chunk of it. And so moving forward, it looks like that's what's going to happen. Now,
does that mean they're going to be considered Sony discs? And we can expect that quality?
That's what people are very excited about. And Variety have followed up on that story because John Thompson tweeted out the Variety story about it. And there's a lot of uncertainty, as there always is with these things. So we don't know whether they're going to be Sony authored or just Sony distributed. We don't know whether that's going to give them access to Disney's vault, famously. And so whether we are going to see, as Dom says in the chat there, we're going to see Tombstone and Strange Days, and Armageddon and all of those. I don't know. No one really does at the moment, I don't think. I just hope the amalgamation is not going to be, we're going to put out fewer discs, so we might as well just get someone else to do that for us. I hope that's not what it is. That was my initial worry, but then I'm a worrywart when it comes to this kind of thing. So we'll see.
Literally, just hearing this news, this is my first impression of it. Disney's doing the smart business thing, and they're subbing it out to somebody that knows what they're doing, right? As far as like Sony, I mean, love them or hate them, it's the full aspect of a movie. I mean, they have tech. That's where Arrow won his Academy Award with the projection system or whatever they had come up with. But they have tech from making a movie all the way to watching it at home, right? And producing the content to take home. So they run the full gamut on everything. So why not sub it out to them and then let them do it, and you take the profits, or you make a smaller amount, but now you have no overhead because you just sold it to them, and then make a cut. And now it's getting. I have a feeling this means more is going to come out. I don't think it's less, because
I hope so.
Think about it this way. If it was less, you would keep it in-house and make every dollar you could on the 5 things you're going to put out a year, as opposed to we'll sub it out and we'll make you know, a half of the money on 10 things that year. So we'll make the same amount of money with no overhead. You see what I'm saying? So that's why I'm like, that sounds like business to me. And it's like, and then because it's Sony, this is, you know, a big deal. I think for them, they're going to be wanting to make money too. I think it's great. That's just oh, there we go.
Okay. Oh, there we go. So John said, so this is only in the US. Well, surely for now, John, I mean, if it works in the US, that's going to be rolled out worldwide, isn't it? I would have thought. Right. Although, if anyone would know.
Yeah.
But
yeah, exactly.
But surely that's, you know, I can't imagine Disney just making a decision just for one territory. Bearing in mind they're maneuvering worldwide at the moment in terms of Australia and everything else, I can't help but think that that's the first drop in the pond, the stone in the pond, and then the ripples will come across the pond.
Well, it's one of those things, like we go through this at you see it all the time. We go through it in hockey here. With youth hockey, but you see it when big companies, where mergers, so a market gets smaller and you have all these companies that at the time were doing so great because the market was so big. Well, then as the market gets smaller, you don't need all those companies so you merge them together and then now they can thrive. And it sounds like that's what's going on. It's like the physical media market is getting smaller because it's shrinking down to us only. Whereas before, the only way you could have all this stuff at home was to get a cheap DVD for the kids to watch or something like that. But now with streaming becoming more available everywhere and fairly cheap, even if you just picked one streamer for the kids, like Disney Plus, there you go. And it keeps them quiet. They have that entire catalog. I don't have to buy anything else except for that monthly payment. You're good to go. But that's why. But we're getting down to the Laserdisc days. Like the really only collectors were the niche people that really, really care about it. And listening to this week with Todd on his AV Nirvana. See, nice segue right there. But listening to his stuff, all his news about physical media and how it's dwindling, and it's like. Yeah, I don't think it's going to go away completely on us because there's always a market there. Go back to Laserdisc days, go back to VHS when it was, there will be something for us, but it may get a little bit more expensive because niche hobbies tend to get expensive. But that's what we're here for. And one of the things I heard Todd say if you're not already listening to it, you're crazy not to. He is getting longer though. Did you hear it today? Or this week, Steve?
I haven't heard it yet. I've got it. I'm subscribed to it. I've got it downloaded on my phone, but I haven't had a chance to listen.
This week's was over 20 minutes. His longest so far was 28. But he wanted to do like 10 minutes, and he's getting longer and longer. But this week he had he was talking about the breakdown of DVD, Blu-ray, and 4K, and how this particular week was like only 7% of the market was 4K. But think about it. The people buying 4K are us. And most of it's like, it's like the day it comes out, we all want it, or we're waiting for a sale. So if you're waiting for the sale on it, that's not coming for a while. And if you want it, you've got it. And we're all talking in the chats about on this show or online or whatever about like, did you get it yet? Did you not get it yet? And it's like, and then the week after, it's like, yeah, we already got it. We're on to the next thing. So unless they come out with a 4K every week, that number is going to go up and down all the time. I think that's encouraging, is that it shoots way up and then other weeks it shoots way down. And it's like, look at the high numbers when 4K sells to like 30% of the market or something, like when Oppenheimer or something. And you're like, that's us. That's how big of a market we are that will shoot that up. But then the next week, nothing's for sale and we don't need to buy Oppenheimer again. So it goes down. That makes sense, So.
Or you're like me and you use that as a week to order loads of stuff from the US, which is kind of what I did, hence what arrived today. So, if true collectors just fill in those gaps with even more stuff just from a different place.
Yeah, exactly. And that's true. That's true. But let's get to this one quick. We got a donation this week. This was a big surprise. Actually came in today, I believe. I didn't even get a chance to email him and say thank you. But yeah, Fernando Ayllon, Ayllon, $5 box of popcorn. Thank you very much, Fernando. Really appreciate that. So that was nice, and that's gonna go far. Trust me. This is things are getting tight around here.
Yeah.
So, thank you to all my patrons. Thank you everybody for being patient with me. We'll be talking soon, but yeah. So yeah, we got that donation and Patreon supporters. What do we got here? Yep, that's right. Thanks, Scruffy.
The True Collectors buy the 15th copy of Bloodshot.
That's right. Exactly. Yeah, don't tell me I don't support physical media. I even support the crappy stuff.
I mean, Paul joined in late says it's definitely not over. I mean, I'm not suggesting it's over. I don't think it is, but it's a change in the market. And DJ, as you always do, you go bright side, and so I don't know. I'm not sure necessarily. And again, I'll be guided by the experts. John Thompson is one of those. Unquestionably, we're the experts from the consumer side. John's the expert from the production side, and so what he tells me, I accept because he knows.
Yeah.
Whereas I'm always wary of consolidation, and I think in big business the danger, because there's talks already about layoffs at Disney, and is this a drive to save money? But and it may well be, but hopefully to save money so that we can then get, as you say, the content out the other end. But right. I just don't know, and I worry this is a sign of the times. I don't think it's all over by any means, but it's just a little bit of a concern. And again, I say that my mind only on a disc that arrived today, which is a Blu-ray, because there's no 4K, and there's no sign of a DVD, Blu-ray, or 4K release in the UK at all for this particular film, and it's not available to stream anywhere either. So it's that kind of just that little thing in the back of my head going, yeah, I hope this isn't a consolidation of, well, we're only going to release a few titles a year and that's going to be it. But, I prefer your version, Deej, so I'll go with what you say.
Well, they do like money, and that's what consolidation is.
And they need it. They do need it, in fairness.
Well, yeah, we all do. Trust me. But when you consolidate, you're trying to save money, but you're not getting rid of the business, right? And then like John fought tooth and nail, and now he's going out of business. He's not consolidating. That's it. It's done, right? So looking at it from that perspective, they're always pushing forward. And yes, John is inside, has a lot of great information, but the other part is look at the history of this entire thing, going from the 80s forward. I mean, for them to even have the fact, just think back to the VHS days. What does it do for them? Like it cost them $80 to produce a VHS tape or whatever. And then they sold it singularly to rental places. But then they got that one thing, but then they get into business with, advertisers and stuff. And now we can price it to sale so we can sell more of these. And then here we're off and running with that consumer physical media thing. That was the birth of it, really. The widespread. We had Laserdisc before that, but it's that that consumer media market is still pretty big. I mean, it's not huge compared to other things in the world, but there is still something to be, sold there, and they're just trying to take as best advantage of it as possible. Yeah, is there a way that, are they trying to drive the market up by having it create a demand? But at the same time, we're yelling and screaming for more and more. And they are answering it. We have seen sales go up and everything. The amount of discs coming to us has gone up. So we'll see. Well, good news.
Time will tell. Yeah. It is news. Whatever else it is, it's news.
Yeah.
So time will tell whether it's a trend that's ongoing. I mean, certainly the studios are amalgamating, and they're looking to acquire each other, and same with the streaming services. They're going kind of moving towards one another as well, if reports are to be believed. So yeah, it's interesting times, isn't it? We will see.
Always interesting. Always. And look at that. Thanks to the chat. Who brought that up? That was awesome. Because we got breaking news coming from the people in our chat I hadn't seen. It's like, could have been broken yesterday and I wouldn't have seen it, but the way things are going.
Yeah. Just so you know, Al Capone's been locked up. Just so you're aware, D. Just wanted to let you know.
Okay. They got to get into his vault. I'd love to see that.
yeah. I think Geraldo's going to do it. I think so.
They should get him on.
I'm sure there's
it.
lots in there.
He's top-notch investigative reporter, so I want to see that. Because I'm sure there's like so much wealth locked up in there.
Oh man, yeah. And Jimmy Hoffa disappeared. I don't know if you know as well. I mean, so I've heard.
Jimmy who?
Yeah.
All right. You want to get to, before we get to our experiences from this week, you want to get to mine?
Yeah. Experience away.
We are off and running, kids. We are off and running. Let me bring up this picture here. There we go. So many have maybe seen these pictures here. I'll put them up on the screen there. That's inside my foundation. There's a John Deere 1025 parked on my parents' side. And then if you look at this one, that's actually in my theater. So if you didn't see the picture on Twitter, there's a John Deere tractor parked in my theater. Where my theater is supposed to be. We got, as you know, last week when we were supposed to be doing a show, this is what I was doing. I had to clear out the entire lot because we had lumber being delivered. It was supposed to be delivered that day, but it got delivered the next morning. And so my brother-in-law was coming down. He's my framer. He had to drop off his trailer and everything. So I had to plow the lot, get everything cleaned, got that done. And he shows up and I go, how's this? And he goes, oh, a lot looks great. And I'm like, anything else I need to do? And he goes, yeah, you got to get everything out of the foundation. And I'm like, okay. And he goes, we'll do it tomorrow morning. Don't worry about it. All the guys will come in here and we got the shovel and we'll just clear it out ourselves and we'll push all the snow up against the foundation inside. Because see, if you look here, that's a footing will go right here. If you're looking on the screen, you see my arrow. That's the center of my basement right there. So we put footings there. We'll see in a minute. But all that had to be cleared so they could work. And I was like, I might as well do it. So I did. And all had to clear off the top of the foundation because that's where the house goes. So you got to get the snow off of that so we could, put the sill up there. And so, yeah, luckily I did everything that day. They were saying the lumber wasn't supposed to come until 10 a.m. I got there the next morning, Wednesday morning. I got there at 7:15 and the truck was already half unloaded. So they got there real early. And because I was there, well, that's a video. You don't need to see that. This is the next morning. Everything's cleared off. See the top of the foundation's clean there. And then here we are. We're getting to work. That's one of the framers. It's actually Cody. Sorry. And then here we go. We're working. And we're working. And see, you can see the sill here. Maybe I'll get a close-up of that. We're going along. This is all the first day. So here's a good picture here. This is home theater related, everybody. So look down here. If you look at the sill, you see the green. That's pressure treated, has to go up against the concrete. Normally, you just have one more layer, one more 2x6 for your sill. Every inch counts, right? I specifically put 2 more on to grab me 3 more inches of height out of my ceiling. So we raised the house right here. So, and that gives me the full 9 feet now, even after we pour the floor. So this right here, if you look at the foundation, you see those 4 boards stacked on top of each other. That's all for home theater. So you can see we got pretty much, this is it. The first day, you see, we got the back walls, side walls on, and the whole back wall, all the door and window openings are there. This is the end of the first day. And there we go. And I'll just cook through. This is the next morning. I was leaving for work. So I came in, started at 7:30, left at 9:30 to go to my job. But before then, we had finished the back wall. So we put the back wall up. And then we're doing the beam. And they go putting the beams up. And then there you go. They had it all joiced out.
Gruffy's asking, indeed. So the small side is your screen wall, is what he's asking. So is that
yes.
the leading edge there?
Yeah. I'll go back. That right there. Boom. That's my screen wall right there. So that's right now, that's 112 inches from the bottom of the foundation to the top of the sill is 112. So when you pour the foundation, when you pour the floor, which will be 4 inches thick, you end up at 108, which is exactly 9 feet. So there we go. Then that's all framed, done. First, that's 2 days. And then Friday, well, we got more snow that night, so we had to clean everything off. Here come the trusses. You do not want to see this. This was a disaster of a morning. They wrecked our trusses, dropped them, so we had to move them all by hand. Oh, that's my roof. But we kept working, got through it, got it floored. The whole thing's floored now. There it is. We put up those little alley columns holding up the house. We did that, all framed out, and now you have a better look. This is the theater. It should never snow in my theater again.
I
can't
not
promise
unless you're
I
watching
won't
Day
put
After
the tractor
Tomorrow.
in there.
Yeah.
What'd you say, Steve? Sorry.
Then not unless you're watching Day After Tomorrow.
There you go.
And then you might,
Yes.
then you might want some snow machines.
Yeah.
4D.
So, yeah, 4D. So, yeah, so that's pretty much it. Then I broke my hammer working Sunday, so I needed to go get a new one. So I got this nice new hammer. Why can't I? Why isn't it going anymore? Oops. Why am I stuck on that? That's not the last picture. Oh, well. Let me see. Boom, boom, boom. I'll show you. Oh, here we are today. This was this morning. So we got the sidewalls built. And then that one was actually, this was this morning. And then we finished the sidewalls today. And then Monday, so let me see, donation, there you go. So yeah, this is actually right now, I didn't take pictures on the way home today, but these are all 100% complete, 100% complete. Sills are on everything. And then next Monday, when my brother-in-law comes back from vacation, we literally just jack these things right up, put them in, put the back wall on, all on Monday. So this wall is done, and you just
See, I'm imagining the barn raising scene from Witness.
pretty
I
much.
think you have to have that sort of just literally put them up. Just need some Amish people. It'll go up really quick. They did that in like a day.
Well, it was funny. We were talking about that today. So they have a wall jack, and it's like 16 feet tall, and you use this to get a wall up. But they didn't have one, or I can't remember what it was. But when they did, my friend that's helping me, he's the builder that my brother-in-law works for all the time. And he's like, and I was talking with Sammy, who's the second in charge after my brother-in-law. I was talking to him today. He goes, did they tell you about Nikki's house? And I'm like, oh yeah. And they told me. It's like, so Nikki, my friend Nikki, who grew up next door to me, she was a cop in a town over here, and the jack broke. And they were like, what? She got on the radio. She called her boss. They had pretty much half the fire department, half the police force down, and they all picked the wall up. So, like, it's nice to have friends.
Yeah.
But it was basically like, and that's what he said. He goes, we did it old school Amish. And just like, whoop.
Old school Amish.
Yeah.
We need to just take a moment, Deej, to welcome a new person into the chat.
I'm going to cry.
Yeah.
There he is. Hey, John.
Yeah.
Thank you for joining.
So,
he's also a Patreon supporter, too. And now he truly is a Patreon supporter.
Oh, man. Everyone's saying hi, and he's doing good.
That's
Thanks,
awesome.
guys. Ah, man. Nice.
That's awesome. Thanks, John.
Yeah, that's it. Now we'll mute him. Right, now we can get back to saying what we like.
See? Now we need a moderator.
Control. Yes, yeah.
So I am eyeballs deep in the home. Things are moving along fast, sometimes faster than I can keep up with. So, but it's fun and it's cooking along, and that's probably going to be, as I was telling you before we got on, Steve, that's probably going to be a lot of my experiences from here on out for a little while,
Yes,
because
that's all right.
it's just what it is. It's just, but it's fun.
And yet, what a change in a week from a kind of looking like a freeway. I'm not going to say motorway. I should do, but like a freeway kind of bridge underpass to a fully fledged house. in a week, you're like, oh, okay, look, you've got the roof on and we've got the first floor on, and the sides up. It just really has come on in a short time.
Yeah,
That's not bad at all. And
by Monday is going to be fun because people are going to be like, you drive by Monday morning and there's nothing, and you come back home from work and it'll be two sides and everything, the back wall will be up because you got to support everything, and it'll be like, and then on Tuesday, the whole front and the sides will be on. Then we start dropping the trusses in place. And by the end of next Friday, it'll probably, it's going to look like a house from the outside. And that's when all the questions start coming. Well, when you moving in? It's like, it's been 2 weeks.
But you see, with me, like I was thinking when you say about the questions, thinking that's when you realize something in full. It's no longer a 3D drawing or a rendering. It's now real. And that's when I would start worrying about, right, so is there enough room in that bedroom? Is that big enough? Is there, where is the island going to go in the kitchen? Is there, that's when I'd start panicking. With not having any experience of this stuff, that's when I'd start worrying, where's the socket going to go? Where is the plug socket? And where's the plumbing? And where's the toilet going to be? And oh my God.
Yeah. Well,
braver man than me, Deej.
That's, we work on that. Like almost every day. So
yeah,
but it's like you're always, that's a whole other conversation. But yeah, so yeah, it's like I said to you before, I'm like, it's hard. It's a challenge. It's challenging me in a way I never thought it would. Probably the biggest challenge of my life, but it's, when it's over, you'll be like, all right, what next? Cause that was hard. What next? And that'll be easy. Like you said, You'll get things done and be like, let's change this. So,
that'll be done. There you go. Yeah.
It has to be.
In the words of, in the immortal words of John Rambo in First Blood, nothing is over.
Yeah. Nothing is over. So what? Till I say it is. There you go. All right, we ready? You ready to get to some experiences this week?
Oh yeah.
Let's open up with one that I think. Yeah, you had from last week. You want to open up with this? Sound good?
Yeah. Lay it on me.
All right.
Ooh, yes. Okay, so this is The Mandalorian Season 1 on 4K disc. And I've got a few pictures of this because the menus are really cool. And obviously the series, when each episode ends, you get renderings, don't you? Pictures of kind of artists' impressions and renderings of kind of what it was going to look like. And the DVD has the 4K disc.
That's why the sales are so high for DVD.
Yeah, exactly that. I went and bought those instead. And it cycles through these really cool pictures. And I've never before felt the need to take more than one photo of the menus, but they're so good in this case. I thought, right, I need to get 2 or 3. And it's interesting that we're talking about what was one of the first Disney Plus 4K Blu-ray releases on the day that Disney have farmed it all out to Sony. But anyway, there we go. How could we know? So this is in 4K, HDR, Dolby Atmos, the whole shebang. And I mean, everybody who's anybody has seen the series. I mean, we've all seen it on Disney Plus, and this is season 1. I've got season 2 as well. I haven't got to that yet. And so whether you like it or not. I think most people liked season 1, with some caveats about finding the story. But I think most people really liked it, and I did, and I do. I've seen them a number of times. So really, what we want to talk about is the home theater. How good is it? And by the way, do you have this? Have you picked this up?
No, I haven't.
I haven't surprised
I haven't grabbed that yet. Yeah,
because it's not on Kaleidoscape yet. I'm assuming
none of the Disney stuff has showed up on because I got the Scarlet Witch there, whatever, and I got Loki. I watched Loki. I haven't watched anything else. And I'll be honest, I thought the Loki disc, while it was better, I didn't find it to be a lot better than what I had experienced on screen. But at the same time, it's like, I was hoping it was coming to Kaleidoscape, but none of it has come. Nothing has come to Kaleidoscape. And I mean, it's not like they don't have a deal with Kaleidoscape. Everything else comes there, but not the series.
Quite. Yeah, that's strange, that isn't it? That's odd. Yeah, well, okay, well, I've got Loki as well, and I haven't watched that yet. The 4K discs of that. I'm looking forward to it because I haven't seen season 2, so I will do that. But okay, so Loki 4K discs, good, but not dramatically better than Disney Plus.
Yes, yeah, I would say, especially the sound is always, it's pretty much what you would expect, but the way they shot it and stuff. What I did notice going back and forth is that there was a lot more grain and a lot more texture to that made it feel lesser than other stuff that we watch, right? So, and then I was like, wow, because what happened was I was watching the stream and I was like, oh, this isn't as good as I remember it being, because I loved the story. But then what happens is your eyes become accustomed to all the streaming stuff we're seeing now, which is really good. And then I'm like, oh, well, the disc must be better. And I went to it and it's cleaned up a little bit, but it's not great. It's not like shining to me. Like, oh, wow.
Yeah.
So I think it's just the way they shot it, and then they just put it on a disc, and then here you go. And I really don't see that great of an improvement.
Okay. All right.
How's this one, though?
Allow me to whet your appetite then briefly. So I had heard good things, and I'd seen reviews saying that this is really, really good. So now you and I talked, and John, I think we all talked about that very first scene, very first episode where you first see Mando and he goes into the bar, and how gray and flat that looked.
Yeah. It's a reference scene, but in the negative. Like you go to it and you're like, oh, is it like this? Or if you get a new projector or you get a new display, you throw that scene on and go, does that help it? It's like,
you're like, exactly. Oh, so I'd heard these things. So I'd heard it was good. And I thought, right, now I'm going to put this on. All this is going to be fixed. You know, this is going to look great. And I put it on and it wasn't. So that's the thing. So put it on. It's gray. It's a little flat. And I thought, oh, no. This is not good. This is not good. And this is not what we want. However, very quickly, and I don't know if this is right. Right, John. If John Thompson's in the chat again, he might be able to tell me. I think now this is pure speculation. Okay, this might be absolute nonsense, and I say this as a preamble. I think that that opening bit of that first episode, and some of the early episode Black Level issues, might be because of the volume. Because the volume is LED.
I was waiting for you to finish. That's exactly what it is. Exactly what it is.
Yeah. Well, what I think is that I know that they were LED screens at that point. Mm-hmm. And I wonder if, because they could not go to deep black because it's LEDs and it's got to be lit, that they brought up the black levels of the foreground so that it didn't stand out so much. Because if it's inky black at the front and then it goes grey at the back, that's going to stand out. And I wonder if it was a technological limitation.
Do you know another movie, very, very popular movie that also used the volume and worked that same formula that you just described into it?
Yeah, the Batman.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And it's like, and that's, so they worked that into it, and that's, but you can see as the generations go on, all these shows go on and the volume evolves, which it's not even called the volume anymore. I think it's
got another thing now, isn't it?
Yeah. But that's the issue, and that you can't fix it. Somebody said, VJ says they probably added digital grain, and you don't have to add digital grain. I'm not talking like grain or noise that you get like from on film, but even when you use your iPhone, if you try to take a picture in low light or a video in low light, you'll see like the brighter scenes, it'll be pixelated. And so they're trying to reduce that, but that's creating that noise, which is, I'm calling it grain, but it's not like film grain. It's just, that's what happens. And they're trying to reduce that by by doing what they're doing. So
yeah, well
yes.
that's kind of how I rationalize it. So John just says, let's not talk about the volume; it's very limiting. So when I first put it on episode 1, I was like, oh my goodness, no, grey, flat. This is not what I was expecting. However, that is very short-lived, and I'm very pleased to confirm that in terms of its looks first, most of this looks fantastic. And is actually, and again, a bit like I did when I saw Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, and I saw the IMAX enhanced version, then saw the disc. This is similar. There are things in this I had not seen that I now see. There are details in this. The stuff in the light looks absolutely jaw-dropping. And the one that I would absolutely kind of go to, I think it's episode 2. That's where you've got the Mudhorn, the big rhinoceros thing. That whole sequence looks stunning on these discs. It is almost 3-dimensional. The detail on the Mudhorn's sort of hair or fur, whatever it's supposed to be, is exceptional. You can see little things around the eye that I've never seen before. It looks fantastic. And then Mando, then after the incident, you can then see all the mud that's on his clothing that I'd never noticed before. You can see how it's all been applied, and some of it looks wet and sticky, and some of it's dried, and it really does look exceptional. So this is a fantastic looking set overall. Once you get beyond the grey levels of some of it, as it goes on and they address those issues, it looks awesome. To the point where this is a must-own, I think, video-wise and audio. It is really, really good as well. And again, when the Mudhorn sequence, so when that thing is kind of, is thumping the ground and snorting and sniffling, all that's got real heft to it, and it moves around the room. And the coven bit where the Mandalorians come from above, all that's got new directional stuff to it that it had on Disney Plus, but not like this.
It doesn't have the dynamics.
Yeah, exactly that. I really, really recommend this. I was very, very pleased, and I can't wait to do season 2 and that ending, because then of course we get lightsabers and everything else. So I can't wait. It is really good. And again, another reason I blame the volume for that opening bit is because the stuff with the starfighters, where there's a sequence where, of course, there's shooting going on, the inky black of the space, the stars, the HDR on the laser bolts and stuff looks like it's in a brand new movie rather than a TV show, and that's because that's all CG and that's not used in the volume. It really is good. You'll love it. I know you will. You pick this up, you'll be like, oh my God, right, that's it. And even to the point, if Disney really were regularly releasing their series on disc, I might start to wonder whether I need Disney Plus. Because this really does look good. Well, indeed, exactly that. And we're going to talk about another show in a bit that I've now got the disc of, which I haven't compared yet. But this is fantastic. So if you're on the fence, you're not sure, this is well worth picking up. It's great. And like I said, I can't wait to get to season 2, just as soon as I wade through all the other stuff that's out, and then sort of circle back around to it. But yeah, it's really, really impressed with this. So I recommend, anyone that thinks they might get it, then they absolutely should. It's very cool.
So I'd be remiss, Steve, if I didn't mention that during that starfighter scene that you were paying attention to the inky blacks and the stars and not the story, Steve.
Yeah, but I've seen it before 3 times.
See, so I was multitasking.
I love how you haven't forgotten that bit.
Oh,
yeah, I love that you haven't forgotten that.
I just remember that. Look at you turning red.
Yeah,
it's like let me get this out of here so we can see everybody.
No, that's fine. I'll turn the light up. It'll
There we go. He's bright red.
Yeah, compared to the.
That was like, I'm like, we were I mean, yes, we do the reviews now of the shows too, but of the story. But I'm like, this is the home theater experience show, right?
Yes, yeah.
So,
but no, it's great. Really good, really good. This is again, it's a must-own if you like the show. You've got to pick it up. and who knows what's happening with Kaleidoscape, Deej, and I can understand why you'd wait, but it's in a cool steelbook as well, by the way, and you get all that too. So,
if nothing else, we always, if nothing else, we always talk about like we want more physical media, and I honestly, I can't even, I don't know why I don't have it already. This is usually something.
Well, yeah.
I mean, my Conan just showed up yesterday, which I ordered a while ago. So
I thought you hated that.
I did that, and I remember back. I watched it, and I told you guys about it. I surprised John with it, but then this was supposed to be out at the end of the month, and it was Ralph that told me to give it another shot. He was like, "No, it's really good," and I did. I watched it on Kaleidoscape at the beginning of January. I didn't know the 4K was dropping at the end of the month, and then I happened to look, and then Ralph got his in, and I had already bought mine when Ralph got his in, but I was just like, "All right, let me give it a shot." And I think what happened when John and I watched it years ago, our expectations for Conan were just so high because we were so excited. We hadn't seen it in years. And we were like, this was just crap. And we didn't like it. It was so slow. But that now my lowered expectations, it was really good. And I was, I mean, it's still like the special effects are really aged, but it's like, all right, I could see that. So I bought the 4K, and I'll do a comparison when I get a chance.
Yeah, I mean, I'll pick it up when it comes out here. I'm hoping it'll come out. I like it, and I know all the stuff you guys were saying about it. He's absolutely right. It is hokey. The snake transformation is silly. I get all that, but I like all the, all the kind of overwrought dialogue, the sword and sorcery stuff. I happen to like that, and Schwarzenegger's never looked more kind of like he'd just been chiseled from rock. Than in that film, and so John Milius is barking mad anyway, and you can see that in every frame of that film. So I mean, I'll pick it up when it comes out here. Don't think I'll import it. Don't need it that much, and I have got the Blu-ray. But I'll it's an Arrow release, isn't it? I think so. I think once it
yes,
is it Arrow?
Yeah, Arrow.
So it's bound to come out over here sooner or later. So I will pick it up when it does. So it should be. Should be good. I heard very good things about the transfer. I think Ralph really liked it.
So here it is. Running time, 127, 129, and 130 minutes. So I guess there's three. Disc 1, disc 2 extras. Okay. Aspect ratio, 235:1. Audio, 1.0 Atmos.
Is that what it says?
I swear to God. It's like, I don't know if you can see it on the screen. Let me blow that up there a little bit. Right?
Yeah.
I'll put my finger
but is that
on it.
1.0/Atmos? So you've either got mono or Atmos, not mono Atmos.
I don't know, but if it's in 1.0/Atmos, I don't know what that means. It does Dolby Atmos, but I don't know if that has like all of the channels, and then you know what I mean? It's like 1.0 because you can have 1.0 Atmos.
Yeah.
It's like, man, it was, I don't know what that means. That's pretty funny.
Yeah.
1.0, not even stereo. Just 1.0.
So I wondered if that meant it was its original mono track, and then you've got Atmos as an Atmos track. But I don't know. You'll have to let us know.
I'll have to check that out. Yeah, I'll have to read Ralph's for a review again.
He did like it. I know he said it was the reviews across the board of the HT quality is good. So I'll definitely get it. I really like that film. Again, I know you guys say it's hokey, and it is, but it's great.
Yeah. All right.
And you've only got to look at Jason Momoa's version to see what happens when they do it a different way.
And I love Jason Momoa, but
yeah.
All right. This next one. Ooh, I should have done this one a long time ago.
Yeah.
Sunshine. This one is, I forget the year. I am very sorry about that. I watched this, I think it's 2014, if I guessed.
No, not that.
Sunshine. I can't think, but it's HD. I got it on Kaleidoscape. You can get it on Amazon, but you've got to search around for it. They have it on Amazon.
2007, Deej.
Oh, 2007. Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay, yeah. That makes sense because you have Cillian Murphy. It's Chris Evans is in it. This is Chris Evans way before before the Marvel, before Captain America and all that. But it is So Todd mentioned this to me, I want to say last year. It was probably in March of last year when we were, I don't know if it was even on the air. I mean, we might have been talking afterwards or something like that. But he's like, if you want to see a good movie, something really interesting, but a good home theater experience, a decent home theater experience, he goes, check this out. And like I said, I have it on Kaleidoscape in HD, but you can get it. I recommend, this is one of those, to me, it's like a hit. I'd never even heard of this movie. But if this ever gets a 4K update, like upgrade, it's a day one buy for me, because the HD on this looked so nice. It's about a journey to reignite the sun begins to unravel for a team of scientists after they discover a mysterious signal from a previous failed mission. So the sun's dying, so Earth, in their, infinite wisdom, sends a team up there, and that one failed. They don't know why, so they send another team. Okay.
As you do.
So things happen, things go on, and believe me, nothing's given away at all here. But the shots of like the sun coming in and like the light against the space and everything, it's just absolutely just HD, but it was like, this is going to look awesome. There's so much great contrast in this movie that I was like literally blown away. I watched this maybe a month ago. Yeah. And but then the audio, stunning. Absolutely. That's what I have in my notes right here. Stunning. It's on par with Gravity, but it's only DTS 5.1. Yeah. Because there are scenes that are quiet and they let the scene breathe, but then there are scenes where like the dynamics of the score, the thumps, really deep bass in the score that like visceral, and like you're just like, it really just like get the emotion of the movie takes over. And with our upmixing, I'm telling you, it's like, if you watch this movie, it's like the way they let quiet scenes just be there, hang there and breathe. But then there is use of the overheads. Things go, I want to say something went over and I was like, oh my God, that was amazing. I can't remember off the top of my head right now. And I was so blown away by this movie. There was another scene in the movie that the way they shot it, so this ship is on its way. This isn't a spoiler to the movie. It's just kind of how meaningful this movie was and how they shot things, the cinematography, and then how that plays into the home theater experience. So they get an opportunity as they're coming to the sun. They're very close to it, and Mercury passes between them and the sun. And so they go to their, quote, viewing room to see this up close and personal, right? And the opening shot of this team sitting there, and somebody sitting down with his hands like this, like on his lap to watch it, and they've all got their goggles on because the light coming in or whatever. But the opening shot has everything in the background like kind of blurred, but you can see his watch. And I was like, that to me, that is awesome, because the scene they're watching is Mercury flying by them because it orbits the sun faster than we do, right? So the fact they open this scene up on a watch, which is based off of our time going around the sun, and then that's us, like, so, and then there is a line in this movie and it's in everywhere, like when time is over, like it's done. But that means like when we're gone, because we invented time. It's amazing. It's like, I just love that entire thing and what that all means to the movie. But the home theater part of it, and that's what, like, the score and all of that, it's highly recommend tracking this down if you can. I don't even know if you can, like, I would just say find it and get it. I don't think you'd be disappointed in the home theater experience for $18 is what I think. I just saw it on Amazon.
I just did it for $7.99, the Blu-ray. I've just bought it.
There you go.
Yeah,
it's
like it.
$7.99. Nice.
Yeah. I saw it. I saw this in the cinema when it came out. Yeah, actually,
So you did?
I did see it in
know
the
it.
cinema, and I remember not liking it.
It's crazy. It's a
Yeah,
crazy movie.
I think, but even as I say that, I'm wondering if it was that or whether it was Solaris, and I'm confusing the two.
that's
But that's the
another
Soderbergh film. Yeah, I might be confusing them. I don't know, but I've ordered it anyway for $7.99. That's worth the buy, just to give it a go. And I absolutely based on your review alone, it's worth it just to see how it goes. So yeah, just literally that's what I was doing. I just ordered it.
Yeah.
So
well, I would also
I'll
think
give that a go.
if this came out on Blu-ray in like 08. Okay, I'm looking on Amazon right now. Blu-ray 08, December 16th, 08. There was a Blu-ray that came out in 07. But what we're experiencing today with our hardware, up mixing, you're getting so much more out of this movie that the experience of the movie is going to be heightened or enhanced, if you will.
Yeah, well,
but
because of the delivery system, surely not.
What's that?
Because of the delivery system, surely not.
Yeah, exactly. Let's see. Try this here. And now here's the thing. We don't have links. Copy. But let me do this, and I'll put this in the chat. Boom. Paste. This is something. Here we go. There, I just put the link in the chat. And that goes to AV Nirvana. That's their link to Amazon. So I don't know if they get like a penny or something if you bought it from there, but it's not us, and I'm promoting it. But that's great for Todd.
Now you tell me, Deej, I've just ordered it.
I know. I'm sorry. It's like, hey, I didn't say I was good at this.
God, flipping heck. So on Amazon there, I mean, Steve Att says it's $35. That for the Blu-ray, Steve? Is that what you just saw, Deej?
I'm looking at the Blu-ray here, multi-format, $34.95. I'm looking at the Blu-ray, $18.09. But that could be Yeah, this Sunshine Blu-ray from multi-format. Yeah, it's $35. But yeah,
let me see if I can see from Amazon whether it's region free, because if it is, you'd be better off, those that don't have it, ordering it from Amazon UK and having it sent over, because it's $7.99 here, which is probably about $8, $9, something like that. Let me see. Got a feeling it's a. Let me see. Oh no, it's region B locked. It's a Fox disc.
Yeah.
So yeah, sorry guys, I'm getting anyone's hopes up. But yeah, I mean, so based on that though, if you're in the UK or you've got a multi-region player and you haven't got it, then it's well worth picking up.
Yeah. Yeah, it's
okay.
Yeah,
cool.
Okay. So I'm looking online right now at Blu-ray.com, and they're saying DTS Master Audio for the $34.95. Looking to see if they have, and they gave it. Oh, look, they gave it high quality too. Five boxes for the audio, and 4.5 for their video quality. So yeah, I mean, it's. I think I'm
curious.
Let's see other editions. Yep, same. So even it's the DTS HD, same 5.1.
That's what's on
the
English
for the
disc.
cheap Blu-ray one. So the cheaper one.
Yeah,
So-
5.1 DTS HD Master Audio. Yeah. Okay.
But yeah.
Well, I look forward to
Check
that.
it out.
That'll be all right. Yeah.
Let me
say
know.
$8. Yeah, nothing. It's great.
There you go. Let me see what
It's a Danny Boyle directed film and written by Alex Garland. So it's I mean they do great stuff.
All right. You want to do this one next?
Ooh, yes.
Yes.
Can't beat Valentine's nice fluffy Valentine's film. What he said.
Oh, wrong button.
Yeah. Well, it works.
Yeah, exactly. All right. Let's do this.
Alrighty, so this is Carrie, not the remake, I hasten to add. This is the Sissy Spacek original. Actually, Deej, can I say it was written by Stephen King? Or that get me into
why
trouble? Oh, well, you know, when I said that about The Mist, I had all kinds of trouble. Anyway. So perhaps I shouldn't say. It was written by someone, and it's based on that book written by that person, who may or may not be Stephen King.
There's a lot of blood.
Yeah, well, shh. Yeah, so this is the classic Brian De Palma version of Carrie, which came out at an arrow release, as you can tell from the little color chart at the bottom there.
Yep.
It came out here 3 weeks or so ago, but I had the hell of a difficult time getting hold of this. I missed the initial release window, and then Amazon could not stock it for another couple of weeks, so I missed its initial release. But anyway, got it and I watched it. Now, you presumably, Deej, you've seen this many, many, many times, because it's one of those horror films, isn't it? The kind of everyone's seen. Yeah. Oh, okay, good. And so and I hadn't seen it for a long time. I didn't own the Blu-ray or a DVD, and so this is the first time I'd seen it in quite a while. Film is still really good, and it's an interesting movie, and a film that, because I was reading afterwards of different reviews and trying to work out whether my take on this in terms of its subtext is what others think as well. And I don't think it is, because I think this is a movie about control and coercive and controlling behavior and bullying and the consequences of that. And yet a lot of people think it's about religion, and yet I think this is about religion as another form of control and coercive and controlling behavior. But anyway, but it's an interesting film to watch, and you can watch it from lots of different angles and different approaches and different things and get something from it. So this is a horror film that has meaning and depth, and actually more to it than I think perhaps a lot of people give it credit for. So the film still holds up. It's still quite a difficult watch, as it is supposed to be. And I think you do feel for the main character, no matter how it might resolve itself. So the film is really good. And Brian De Palma, is bringing his A game and all his box of tricks to this in terms of how it's shot. So still great. Now, the really good news is that it looks and sounds very nice indeed. So this is very brightly shot, most of it. It's very colourful, as you say, lots of blood. And the blood really stands out, especially the later scenes where you've got, obviously, a party going on and various things happening there. Yeah. And all the colours of that look amazing. And all the very brightly decorated sort of scenery looks really, really good. All the exterior stuff looks excellent. And it's great. The colors leap off the screen. There is plenty of detail, quite a bit of grain, but it's shot on film. There would be. And it sounds really good as well. I think it's 5.1 DTS HD. I think that's what I put in the comments. I think that's what it is. Because it was a couple of weeks back that I saw it. But it sounded really good as well. And during the bits where lots is going on, it is moving around the room. So I was really pleased with this again. This is another really decent classic movie remaster in 4K, and I would say without hesitation, this is the version to get. Don't go thinking, well, I'll buy it now cheaply on DVD or Blu-ray. Get this if you like the film, because it's fantastic. I haven't tried any of the special features. I've not had time for that, as I rarely do. But as a movie, it was really, really good to revisit this in this format. So again, Deej, I'd recommend this. This is one that you and Jen presumably would have seen this as kids. And
It's funny.
It's a high schooler movie, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's that kind of film. Yeah.
Oh yeah. It's like growing up to this, and like, but I haven't seen this in a few years. I think we did it for Halloween, probably, a few years ago, maybe before I had the podcast. And everything you're saying, that's what I was going to ask you, but you'd already said, like, how vibrant the colors were. Because I even found, like, even going back to, like, I don't think I had this on Laserdisc, but even the VHS days or watching it on television, on HBO or whatever, it's like that the blood usually, like, leapt off the screen. The vibrancy of the colors and the parties and stuff, it always did. And I can imagine what it's like now with 4K HDR, and just like how nice that must look now, and obviously maybe seeing it in a way that we've never seen it. I didn't, because I didn't see it in theaters. I was too young, but I did see it all through the 80s and then into the 90s, and then we revisit it from time to time, and certain scenes get you every time. But yeah, it's just it really is a movie about how to parent, right? It's just like
yeah. But it's about control in every way, in terms of and again, coercive and control. I mean, there's an offense over here called coercive and controlling behavior, and this is classic stuff. She's bullied by school kids. She's controlled as a result of the way the mother behaves towards her, but also the casual nature of control generally. The domestic violence in this is so casual as to almost become it's almost throwaway. I mean, John Travolta's in this, of course, Nancy Allen. And, there's a scene where John Travolta hits her 4 times in less than 2 minutes. And it's not portrayed as what an absolute, so-and-so he is.
Right.
It's just very casually done. And so watching that through 2024 lens and my particular work and the things I do and the things I experience, it's genuinely shocking to see it portrayed in such an off-the-cuff, ad hoc way. And it's like, well, he's supposed to be sleazy, but he's not, a criminal. And yet, these days, this classic stuff. So there's control there. And also Nancy Allen in that scene has control over Travolta in terms of how she utilizes her feminine wiles to get her way. And so the control is everywhere in this film.
Yeah.
And as I was fascinated by how that then translates and how that's developed over time, looking back on it and seeing how that element of control is still there. It was fascinating. But there's a lot of depth to this movie.
Exactly. And then the other part is, and I've used this, not this movie in particular, but since you bring it up, it's like, I've said this since I was a kid, since like in high school and then on, and like when you're talking to people and it's like, and if John's still in the chat, he'll appreciate this reference. It goes back to Days of Thunder. Control is an illusion, you infantile little man, right? Because when people think they have control because either they're bullying you or they're your boss or they got money over you or they're using their feminine wiles. But the thing is the only time, and this is a fact, the only time you have control over somebody is when somebody gives it up to you. I give you control. And then what this movie points out is there's only so much somebody will tolerate before they pull that control back. And that's what, like you said, that's what this movie is about. And it's, and we see it time and again. And it's like, you see it in marriages, you see it in friendships, and you just all of a sudden, like, I mean, I'm sorry, John's not here anymore. He could not take me anymore. That's it. It's over. But you know what I mean? It's like, you can only say, and that's what's so great about it. It's like control is an illusion. And then when somebody decides to take it back from you, there's nothing you can do about it. And that's what makes this so great. So, and Paul Hurt says it's not just control, it's dependency.
But dependency comes because of control. You become dependent on someone who is exercising control over you.
Right.
So dependency is an effect of control. Control is the cause. Dependency is the effect. Again, if you watch this movie back,
like going in a complete psychological dependency is the crutch. So that's the laziness. So I'm going to give you control because that's just easier to do. You're not really dependent on it, but instead of actually standing up or doing whatever you want to do to not give them control, then you depend on it. Kind of like you depend on your job because you have nothing else to do. I need to make money, right? So that's a dependency. I depend on a paycheck. But if that job isn't very good or they don't treat you right, eventually you'll be like, you'll find another way and you'll take that control back and quit. Right. Yeah. So it's, I mean, you're right. I mean, Paul's right, but it's even that dependency is something you've given up for that as the person being controlled.
Yeah. So. Well, quite. And if you watch this film through that prism and through that lens of all the different controlling aspects, and it's not just Carrie, she does take back control, but it's not just her, it's the other characters as well, even to the principal and the teacher and the everyone in here is exercising coercive and controlling behavior, and it's just fascinating. It just gives an extra layer to the story of what could be quite an exploitative movie about a young girl who's got powers who decides to use them to get revenge.
She's got powers?
Yeah, well, spoiler alert. Sorry. But it's great. And the other thing that we should mention briefly when we're talking about Carrie, because again, as you know, when I finish these things, I look on IMDb. is, of course, this was being shot at the same time as they were casting Star Wars, and the rumor is that all the teenagers in this had all auditioned for Star Wars, and those that didn't get it came to this. So Carrie Fisher auditioned for this and Star Wars. Get Star Wars doesn't do this, but Sissy Spacek apparently did. Nancy Allen apparently auditioned, and then when they didn't get that, and who's the guy from The Greatest American Hero? Oh, I can't remember his name. The guy who's in this, and he auditioned for Luke Skywalker. Didn't get that. Went to do this, and of course, so they basically just crossed the street and ended up doing this instead.
I think Sissy Spacek did okay.
Oh yeah, quite. I can't quite imagine her as Princess Leia somehow. I don't know. If
because Carrie Fisher's so iconic now. But if you reversed it, you'd be like, "Yep, there you go." I knew he would have it too.
Yeah, it's good on John. Yeah.
We're both trying to get it up there. I knew he would have it.
Yeah, William Katt. That's him. That's the one.
Yeah.
So it's interesting kind of how that was all going on. But yeah, I really like this. Well, it's worth picking up, Deej. Again, for your Halloween. I mean, I know you're filling up your Halloween dance card, but this is one to see.
Arrow does have a deal with Kaleidoscape. I'm hoping it drops on Kaleidoscape eventually by Halloween or something like that. Then I definitely would.
It's really good.
Yeah. Let's see. What do I want to do next? All right, let's give this update here. So I haven't watched a lot lately. I've been very, very busy. And when I do get a chance to watch and sit down in my theater, Yellowstone, I'm into season 4. I'm almost done. With season 4. I haven't decided yet if I should go from season 4 to 5, or if I should do 1881, which I did. I think that actually came out between 3 and 4, because 4 opens up with kind of a scene that's from that. I think it didn't open up that way. The second episode opened up that way or something.
Is that the one with Harrison Ford? 1882.
No, that's the 19 something, right after the. Yeah, that's right.
Okay.
That's the other one. Okay. I'm pretty sure. I just read about that one maybe it was today when I was looking to see which ones to do, but yes, still Yellowstone up to season 4. I'm loving this so much that I can't even cheat and watch it upstairs in the living room, because the audio and the video on the Kaleidoscape in the theater is just so good. And like I said, it's worth repeating, especially if you're new to the chat, this new guy, John Ciccone. It's worth repeating that it's the transitions, the boom, and then they go the bass boom that you get. And there were some episodes where my remote lit up, and you get enough of a vibration in there that it just, this show plays so much on emotion and everything. And there's a lot of punching going on, a lot of fist fights that they make you cringe. I'm not going to lie. I'm like, oh, okay, well, I haven't checked my email in a while. Wow, that's a lot of blood. It's funny. It's hard to watch, but I've been in them for sport, for defense. It's nothing bothers me. But watching it, you're like, no, I'm good. But yes, I can't recommend it enough. Owning it, it's just so good. It's such a good series.
I'm gonna get it. I'm sold, but I'm just gonna wait and buy the whole thing, and then see how we go.
Definitely wait and
I've
see
waited
it
this long.
physically. Yeah, it's so good.
Yeah.
So
that's
good.
One works for me.
All right, that's the Yellowstone update for this week.
We're not, just so that people are wondering, we're not going to do a Masters of the Air this week, are we? Because you're not current.
I'm not current.
So
I showed you everything we've done, the framing.
Mm-hmm.
I'm working pretty much 2 full-time jobs right now. I don't get a lot of time in my theater. Steve and I were talking about this before the show, and I realized yesterday, I was like, oh my God, I'm doing a show tomorrow. What if I watched? I'm like, Yellowstone? When I get a minute, I'll go down and hopefully I get an hour and I'll watch a whole episode. But if I at least have to get something in. And what's funny with I'm loving it so much that I'll watch half an episode, and then when I come back, if I do have an hour, I'll back it up and just watch the whole thing through. I don't continue from there. So, but yeah, I have another one, and I mean, I did get to watch something, but that was actually before we started. So I don't know, but all right, you ready for this one, Steve?
Yeah, we've already had a chat about this in the chat.
Oh, all right, here we go.
Alrighty, so this is The Marvels. You may have heard some discussion about it in the press. It's so this hit Disney Plus 2 weeks ago, maybe 2 weeks Friday, perhaps. And it just dropped. Now, I did not see this in theaters. I know you and John did, and I know you and John enjoyed it and thought it was, a decent, solid entry into the MCU. Fun. Yeah. Now, I was approaching this with some trepidation. I didn't see it in theaters. I hadn't seen a screener. I'd watched about 30 seconds of the trailer, and that was it. So I went into this completely cold, and I was not really expecting too much, if I'm honest. And it was the day it came out. I shifted some things around so I could watch it. And it's in IMAX Enhanced. It's in Dolby Atmos and 4K HDR. I didn't watch it in Dolby Vision. I think it is in Dolby Vision, but I don't bother with it. Don't think I need it. How would I say it? I did enjoy it.
You're
I'd be lying if
words.
I said I didn't. Yeah, well, yeah, me, that's such a thing. I did enjoy it to an extent. I didn't love it. I think it's lesser tier Marvel. So it's kind of lower down the but it was better than the Eternals because it's shorter than the Eternals for one. And it does zip along, and I did enjoy it. I did, but the whole thing was given a real shot in the arm. I think just as I was beginning to perhaps think, well, maybe I'm this is again a bit like the Miss Marvel series. Maybe it's just not for me. But then we get, and I'm not going to elaborate it anymore other than to say the memories sequence.
Yes.
And I loved that.
Yeah.
I thought that was fantastic. And I was absolutely, just thought that was inspired. So whoever came up with that is a legend. And so whoever it was at Marvel, whether it was the writer, the director, or because there was lots of tinkering with this in post-production, loads of reshoots. So whoever came up with that was a genius. Because I thought that was fantastic.
Scene. Yeah.
Oh, it was. And I'm not going to spoil it for anyone that hasn't seen it because I don't want to do that. But I loved it. I thought the music was great. The casual cruelty that's going on is very funny.
Yeah.
And done in a deliberately funny way. And I thought that was great. So that was really cool. And so I did enjoy the film. I did enjoy it. And enough to buy the disc, which came out here yesterday. So I've got the disc now as well. Now, in terms of the HT experience, I haven't compared this to the disc. I've only literally watched Disney Plus, and then I bought the disc, and I'll rewatch it at some point. I say that I bought the Eternals disc, and I haven't rewatched that, so I'll get around to it eventually. But the Disney Plus version, again, bearing in mind IMAX Enhanced, so lots of it is in fills the screen,
full screen,
yeah, is really, really nice. It's another very decent MCU Marvel transfer. I raved about the Multiverse of Madness thing, which of course is what got me into trouble, and then you, because I was so excited about it, I was taking pictures. And then I really liked Quantumania, and I liked how they did that. I mean, I liked the film, but also how the transfer I thought was really good as well, and that has continued into this. So it starts off. I mean, I don't think there's a problem if we spoil the first couple of minutes with a sort of planet that looks like Mustafar.
Yeah.
And it starts off with that, and then you've got the inky black around it, and the little pinpricks of the stars, and then that sort of really threatening, glowing deep red, which just looked great. And then the movie goes on, and there's lots of bright, again, laser bolts and powers and stuff zipping about. There's a lovely sort of daytime space attack kind of sequence. Well, not space attack, but spaceships flying around and on a planet, which all looks really nice. And then the audio is really good too. So again, all this movement, all the power changing and swapping between everyone sounds and really, really good. So I had a good time with it, both home in the theater and the movie itself. And so I was really pleased, and I will look forward to comparing it to the disc, because if anything's taught me anything, it is that the discs are better. And even though you don't get it full screen, it is still
the sound
significantly better.
The dynamics of the sound is just so much better on the disc and especially for this movie, because this is another one like Love and Thunder, and like you said, and all the other ones where the music too, not just the score, but the music, the soundtrack to these is just so much fun. And the dynamics of those songs, streaming it sounds great. And if you have the system that can really show you the difference between the stream and physical, which most people listening to us do, if you have that system, it is definitely worth it, because the dynamics of those sounds, it even like your pans are going to be better, because you have a higher frequency as opposed to what may be cut off because of compression or something. But it's just it sounds so good. And it's like the picture itself, like I've said so many times, like I think they're putting all their eggs into the picture basket, because everybody has a decent 4K television. So if you have a crappy picture, majority of the population's gonna know. But if you don't have a great home sound experience, the majority of the population isn't gonna know, right? They're lucky if you're lucky. I mean, it's a small window of people that have sound bars, never mind anything else, right? So they're putting that in there, and it's like, so the picture, yes, there's an upgrade, but it's not as great. And you really need to have a big picture to see how much better it is. But sound, it's not even close. And I would take physical all day long. All the comparisons I've ever done, I'm just like, you can't, all great, IMAX enhanced, but the sound, it's just, when you go back and forth, it literally, when you A/B it, the stream sounds muted. Once you heard the physical, the stream sounds muted. You're like, what happened? But then if you just watch streaming, and that's what I recommend, if you don't have it and you're just coming into the hobby, just stick with that, because you won't know the difference. And it does sound amazing, and it's just watch that. But then when you go and put a disc in and you're like, oh my God, listen to that. It's like, it's awesome.
Well, like I said, that's why I've got the disc.
No exception.
Yeah, so that's why I bought it. I mean, I've got them all on disc anyway, so I've got to keep the pattern going, the trend going. But yeah, no, I will revisit it. It said not top tier Marvel by any means, but not a disaster either, and probably deserved a bit better from its box office than it got. But then I say that having not seen it in cinemas, so I'm kind of the problem as well, I suppose.
Well,
I can say that now.
We're not here to promote movie going. We're here to promote physical media.
Yeah, true. Yeah.
So,
well, that's fair enough. Home theater. Yeah.
Yeah. And that new guy in the chat, if he's still there, we're probably going to lose him on this one.
Ooh.
Yeah. So flipping channels the other day, or actually a couple weeks ago, I came across the Will Smith vehicle iRobot from, what was this? Early 2000s as well?
Yeah, 2001? I'll look it up.
It's early on, and it plays really well audio-wise. The picture looks nice, but with today's technology and our setups, some of the CGI gets a little wonky at times. Still looks good. Honestly, at times, I was like, "What? Oh, this is that old?" Like, because it doesn't look that bad.
2004.
2004.
20 years old.
20 years ago. Wow, that's crazy. and that I think that's what I was thinking. I'm like, all right, the CGI isn't perfect by today's standards, but that fact that you look at it and go, that's 20 years ago, and it's so. For instance, that scene, and it had been a little while since I'd seen this one. So that scene when he first comes upon the crime scene, and you think he's talking to somebody. I remember seeing that in theaters and how good that looked. And it looks really good now. But then when the reveal comes, you're like, oh wow, it looks so good. Like a lot of that looks really good. The robots look good. I forget his name. Like I said, I watched this a few weeks ago. What, Sonny? Is that the robot's name?
Yeah. Alan Tudyk does the voice for him, I think. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Sonny, yeah.
And like even him and the expressions in the eyes, that really jumped out to me now because, he's got the different colored eyes as opposed to the other ones. Really, really good. The audio. Oh, there was another tip. Like I didn't take notes on this or anything. And we've talked about this. It's been a while since we've mentioned it on the show. So calibrate the room. I have my settings. My Odyssey is set to, calibrate to the room. I have it set to reference. And I'm watching this in the early scene. Shia LaBeouf is in this early on.
Yeah,
so,
he's the young chap, isn't he? Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So him and Will Smith are walking down the street and they're having a conversation. And I was like, that's weird. The dialogue in this, for the first time, I was like, the dialogue isn't very good. It's like, it's good, but it wasn't as clear as most of the movies I watch, right? So I'm like, huh. And then it dawned on me right after the scene was over because Shia LaBeouf, he talks with like a street accent. He's like, oh, sweet honeys or whatever he say. And you can't really make out what he's saying. And, I was like, huh, because he talks so fast. I was like, wait a minute. So the scene's over. I grab my phone and I go in and I'm like, Odyssey, it was off. Just for some reason. I put reference back on, back the scene up, crystal clear. It's because it balanced the room out. Now it brought the center channel out, whatever it had to do, the balance of it. So it's important to check those things.
Yes.
But in this particular movie, it stood out in that one scene, and especially where you were like, wait a minute, I'm not really understanding that. And then all of a sudden, there you go. It was great. So check that. But the rest of the way through the movie, the ending and all that, I don't want to ruin it if you haven't seen it, but the ending, it's like there's a vision type thing, but then it's a reality, and then watching that come through, and it's like seeing it on my. I haven't seen this in a little while. My son did watch it probably last year. He loves this movie too. But yeah, seeing it on my most recent setup, haven't not seen it in a while. Really, really was good. I'd love to get this in 4K. I do think it deserves that.
Yeah, it's a Fox movie again, though, isn't it? So this will be one that's down the pecking order. I mean, having said that, I've got the 3D Blu-ray of this and the normal Blu-ray as well. And I mean, Jordan was just mentioning it in the chat actually about this as well. I'm not sure I agree about the 3D. Jordan says it's a really underrated film. I agree on that. Said I still have the Blu-ray 3D release, which enhances some of the film's visuals. I don't know. I remember it being quite. Like a pop-up book, because it was not shot in 3D. This was a post 3D conversion or post conversion 3D, and it all looked a bit flat for me. I think I prefer the normal Blu-ray, but it's a fun film. And I remember the audio of the demolition scene, the robot house demolition scene, being
that was
actually
insane.
Because there's a thing where the arm goes right over the top of the room and it, as he's running through the house, which was really cool. And then as he's coming away, the base then as it's kind of reformatting itself is a really cool scene.
Yeah, the up conversion that we get off of that as well. And yet now you're triggering my memory on this. The underwater scenes. The movie opens with an underwater scene. Later on, you have underwater scenes. And the underwater scenes in the around your room, the way that was enhanced over what I have ever experienced before was really, really good. That demolition scene, like you said, it's like my remote lit up, in the street scene when, he's driving the car and they come after him or whatever. And it's like, all of those scenes, the spinning, and that's where sometimes some of those scenes, if you look at the details, you're like, the CGI is a little rough, but at the same time, these are fast moving scenes and you're not really supposed to be doing that. But since we've seen the movie and that's what we do, we look at that. But the sound itself it's really, really good. if it did get 4K and it got a, object based, that'd be a lot of fun if they enhanced, it actually remastered it. But what we have now is still really good, really good.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I need to rewatch it. Actually, I've got, like I said, I've got both versions on Blu-ray. So I mean, the 3D one I said to you before, I'm over 3D. So I'll go back to the normal Blu-ray. But yeah, it does need to be seen again. I've seen it loads of times, and it is a good movie.
You're not going to
Philip K. Dick again, I think.
What's that?
Is it Philip K. Dick again?
Not
I think
sure.
It might, isn't it? No, I'm not sure. I don't know. Or is it just me? Or is it just it's just because it's a noir detective story, isn't it? But with robots.
Yeah.
So maybe I'm misremembering.
I love Will Smith's sarcasm through this. And it's like, that's just, yeah. Mm-hmm. And like when he's questioning people, so good.
Yeah, John is not a fan, is he, of Will Smith?
No. Never has been.
No, yeah.
Despite recent events, it's not recent. It's like he's just never been a fan.
No,
when all that happened, he was like,
good.
that's about right.
Yeah, I mean, he's a good actor. I think he's done some great movies.
Yeah.
But, notwithstanding. So, I mean, did you ever watch, what was the Apple TV slave thing that he did? I mean, did you ever
No, I never got to that one. I hadn't gotten to that one. That came out like right after or during that whole thing. And I mean, I want to say,
in the summer after.
Yeah.
Yeah, just kind of came and went. Apple just kind of
Yeah.
pushed it out quietly. It's an Anton Fuqua movie, that one. Can't remember what it's called. Asimov. Thanks, Paul. All right, thank you. I knew it was something like Isaac Asimov.
There we go.
Thanks, Paul. I knew it was something like that. But there we go. No, fair play.
Yeah.
But no, it is a good film. I remember enjoying it.
It's fun.
But I don't think we'll see a 4K version unless that Sony deal that John is now talking about in the chat extends to their back cat. Who knows? So John is just saying the first one to come out is going to be the first Omen film on the 4th of... Now, John, is that the 4th of May or is that 5th of April?
Oh, geez. Yeah.
See, how English are you, John?
Yeah, exactly. Good question.
I would pick up. I really
is
like
that Star Wars Day? That would probably not Star Wars Day because that's Saturday, I believe.
Yeah. 4th of May. Okay. All right.
May the 4th. Oh, that's a Saturday. Yeah. Comes out. That's weird.
Oh, Emancipation. That's it. Thanks, Jordan. Thanks, mate. I knew it was something like that. I couldn't think what it was. Yeah, that was good.
Yeah. Let me see. Boop, 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 boop. May. Yeah, May the 4th is a Saturday.
Well, I hope we get it here. I will pick that up. That's a great film. Yeah, so it's all for you, Damien.
Oh my God. Yeah. All right. You want to wrap up with this one?
Lay it on me. What have we got? Oh, yes, of course.
Come on. Well, it's actually 2, but we'll get to that.
Yes. 2 will be quick. So this is a film you might have heard about. And, it's the little lesser known Cannonball Run. And that's the only reaction, isn't it? From people of a certain age, you've just got to say Cannonball Run, and it will be, oh yes.
So I saw this, it was on regular television, so obviously edited, but my dad let me stay up and watch it with him one night, like on a school night or something like that. And he was like, here, you can stay up and watch this. And I was like, probably too young, but I was just like fascinated by it. Like, one, I got to stay up and watch it, but 2, I mean, it's just the humor, the everything. I mean, it's just, tell me all about it, Steve.
When was the last time you saw it?
Long time. It's been a long time.
But you've seen it multiple times, I'm assuming.
Oh God, yeah. Oh
yeah.
yeah.
Oh, okay, yeah. So I hadn't seen it for a long time either, and yet I've seen it many. I mean, I can't remember the first time I saw it. I can't remember the circumstances. So again, that's probably the definition of too young, isn't it? If you can't remember it, you must have been too young. But I've seen it many, many, many times. I don't think I've ever owned it though, either on VHS, DVD.
No.
This is the Blu-ray, by the way. I don't think I said the 1080p Blu-ray, and it's in DTS stereo. But of course, that makes the Neural X. It's been out in the UK for a while, but they just re-released it a few weeks back. and I happened to be in Bath, which is a city not far from here, and I wandered into a store called HMV that sells loads of these things, and I had some money burning a hole in my pocket, and I thought, do you know what? I knew there was a couple of things out, and I bought this and Cannonball Run 2 because they were not that expensive, and I thought, well, it's time to see them again. So I'm very pleased to report the movie Cannonball Run 1 is still every bit as good as it has always been. And as I was watching on the biggest screen I've ever seen it on, because of course, I don't remember ever seeing it in the theaters. So seeing it in the cinema room, big screen, sound up, it was like going back in time. Like someone had opened a portal, pushed me through, and I was that little kid again, just watching this unfold. Oh, it's great. And okay, it's racist. There's no getting away from it. It's misogynistic. It's got all the kind of things that it shouldn't have. I mean, it's downright predatory at times, but it's still so much fun, and it's lighthearted. You can't really take against the film because it's so much fun, and everybody looks like they're having an absolute blast on this. And it's infectious. It's like they should have called it Cannonball Run Contagion.
was it this one or the second one? They blend to me because I watched them so many times, but I love the scene where he rips the mirror off. And he's like, "What are you doing?" He's like, "What's the matter behind you? Does not matter." It's like he throws that away. But then the other one, the doctor stirring the urine.
Yes, just
the urine test, and he goes, "What are you doing?" But you don't see, and then that's just so good. It's like, but then when you watch it again, you see what he did, because it's like, oh my god,
But you can see as well when you watch it now, all these years later, you can see them cracking up like whilst they're doing it, and
it's
what
like
I noticed
Saturday Night Live, them trying to stay straight faced, right? And you're like, stay straight.
Well, you can see them kind of going as they're talking. It's awesome, and also the people in the background. I mean, I can't imagine. There's no way they would ever shoot a movie like this now, because they basically looks as though they've got the actors out of the car. Burt Reynolds was a huge star at the time of this. Dom DeLuise would have been as well. I mean, and obviously Roger Moore was huge at that time, and he's in the first one, not the second. And yet it looks as though they've got him out of the car, got some cameras, and gone, let's just film a few scenes. And there's members of the public in the background. They're all just sort of stood there watching, and they're all kind of having a bit of a laugh. And it seems such a collaborative and kind of inclusive film. It's crazy.
It just dawned on me what this is.
Yeah.
It's like, because my wife and I were talking about the other day, she found Love Boat, the show Love Boat, right? She found that on somewhere, and she's like, we could watch it. Here they all are, whatever it is. This is like the guy. Let's make a movie like The Love Boat, where we just take all these actors from around and just like put them in skits and just be like, it's just a guy's movie of just like hamming it up and just like dying the whole time. It's about cars going illegally fast across the entire country.
I mean, there's not much of a story to it, in fairness.
No,
like you say, it is all just kind of mashed together.
Right.
Yeah. And but funnily enough, I mean, we say it's kind of a guy's movie, and yet, a person that knew that I saw this week was talking about how she remembers watching it with her dad, who sadly passed a few years ago, and grew up watching it with him. And so she's like, "Oh, do you know what? I need to see that again. I'd love to watch that again."
Yeah.
And so I think it's a film that we all remember from our childhood, all kind of grew up watching, and it's got nostalgia to it. And that is all still there, and is still so much. I had an absolute blast watching this.
Yeah.
I loved it. It flew by. It was great. Even with all the casual, dodgy stuff going on again, as I said, Jackie Chan being treated like a Japanese person and all that kind of stuff. It's all a bit, not good. And I mean, and again, Sammy Davis Jr. being called the chocolate monk, which is, I mean, it's just so stupid. But it's funny in the scene, point. And it's with
right.
It will quite. So it's very funny, and so
but
it's great.
Like just think of that phrase, like what you said, like Jackie Chan being treated like a Japanese person. So how do you treat a Japanese person?
Well,
what they do is the whole phrase.
But he's talking Chinese, but they treating it as if he's in a Japanese car on a Japanese game show, and the idea is that language it sounds in Chinese the same as Japanese. You know,
right? It's
a bit naughty. You know, but within the film, right. I suppose it's okay. I mean, but it's got a bit of Breakfast at Tiffany's about it. You know, it's a little bit unpleasant, but anyway, it's not enough to ruin it, and everyone does look like they're having a great time, and he must have had a good time because he came out for the sequel. So it's still very cool, and the video is really good as well. That picture doesn't really do it justice. That picture makes it look really grainy, and it's not that bad. That's because it's a long shot.
So this is a new release over there.
Yeah, well, it's a re-release, but I'm not sure if it's a remaster. That I don't know.
Okay,
but it still looks great. And you wouldn't want it any different to how it looks. It's only in 1080p. It's not 4K. I mean, they released Smokey and the Bandit in 4K over here, which I've got. But this is only 1080p. But it still looks as good as it. Well, it looks as good as you could reasonably expect it to, and it looks how you remember it. And again, I'm not sure you could want any more than that.
So
you
the jumpsuits look good.
Well, they certainly do. Yes. And I'm only talking about the colors, nothing else, obviously.
Nope.
For anyone else that might listen. Yeah, I'm with you on that. Right. Yes.
Not
the
what's
cars
in between
look
them.
Great. Yeah,
the cars look great.
Indeed.
The Lamborghini.
So it's
oh my god.
Yeah.
The ambulance.
Yeah. Oh yeah. It's great. So as I said, so it looks good, sounds as good as it could do within the scheme of it. I mean, the Cannonball song at the beginning, you'll be singing it for days afterwards. I know I was. And so that nicely kind of spreads across the front of the soundstage. So it's great. Really, really enjoyed this. And again, I'm so glad I've revisited it again after all this time. And I'll be seeing it again soon with this person who's like, I need to see that. So it was great. Really, really good. And such a fun film, and it flies by. So, yeah, Cannonball Run 1, really good. Shall we talk Cannonball Run 2?
If you would like. Oh, where'd it go? Oops, hang on. I got to find it. Where did it go? Did you have it in here?
Yeah. You had it earlier. Yeah, it's the sunglasses one. I mean, we can just talk about it if you like. It won't
you
take
can
long.
just talk about it. I'll find it.
Yeah, no problem. So, also then, the next night, having seen Cannonball Run 1, I thought, well, it's a Cannonball kind of evening, so let's go and do Cannonball Run 2, which I did. And I went into this expecting this to be as timeless as Cannonball Run 1. And I was like, oh, here we go. It's going to be great. It's not. Excuse me. Oh, just give me 2 seconds, guys. I'm just going to mute myself.
There you go. Oh, here we go. I'll pull up here's the graphic for Cannonball Run 2. I had misplaced it. The graphic's actually a little more dynamic than 1. but the movie's not as good, guys. So that's not good. That's okay.
No.
So
this film is not good. This film has dated dreadfully. Even with Daisy Duke in it. It still has aged not well at all. So I did not have as much of a good time with this, and this was longer. It's just under 2 hours long, this one. Wow. And I have to say I was struggling with this, and I nearly didn't finish it. It's just not a great experience at all. This kind of just it feels dated.
It's like you're
weird.
Swearing. It's like you're muting yourself for the cough, and you're like, it's just
not good.
That bad?
Yeah. So it's not. I'm going to go again. It's not. It's genuinely not as good as I remembered it being. There's no Roger Moore this time. He didn't come back, and this kind of stinks of contractual obligation. It seems to me.
Oh, really?
But it does look and sound okay. It is fine. It's just not as much fun as I remembered. The first one is the one to buy. This one for completists only. I've got it. It'll stay in the collection, but it's not good. And neither of them were reviewed very highly when they came out. When you look at IMDb, they are very low. But this one I think is about 13 out of 100 on IMDb. And I can see why. It's not great, this one. But, the first one
feels like it was
an all-timer.
Like, all right, the first off the success of the first one or popularity that it gained.
Yeah.
They're like, let's just make another one. More than, I don't think they had a contract or anything to do 2 of them. I don't think anybody thought maybe the first one was even going to do what it did. But yeah, but they're still fun. And it's like now, what's funny is this one is on Kaleidoscape, but 1 isn't.
Oh.
And I'd mentioned that last week about it. Yeah. I'd mentioned that before last week because I was thinking that maybe that's a sign that they're going to get it soon, on Kaleidoscape. I'll search again and see if it's there. But
you'll have such a great time with the first one. It's so good.
Yeah.
And I don't regret buying the second. It might as well get them at the same time. But yeah, the second one is showing its age and is stretching the joke way too far. But the first one is very cool indeed. And while you're doing that, I just see Paul talking about comedies and stuff. Airplane and Top Secret. Paul, all day long, fantastic.
Top Secret.
Movies, both of those.
Love Top Secret.
Oh, yeah, they're great. They're very funny. Yeah. That's the one with the where he's introducing the French resistance people, and he introduces one as Deja Vu, and he says, "Have we met before, Monsieur?" You just cannot come up with that kind of level of
even
genius.
The prop gags of like the phone in the foreground.
Yeah, and
it looks like it's
the
really
magnifying
he walks
glass
up to it, and it's not. Yeah, the magnifying glass, but his eye is that way, and it's like all of that stuff. It's like that was so good.
No, it was very cool, and Airplane, but still, if seeing as Paul is mentioning best famous films and favorite comedies of all time, I think Life of Brian is my top one. That film is just absolutely awesome.
Yeah,
and then Airplane, and then everything after that.
I think. My God, yeah, they're just. I think we talked about Airplane with somebody recently. I think on a Takeover Tuesday. Yeah, my parents took me to see that when I was for my birthday. On my 10th birthday.
How old would you have been then? 10. There were bare breasts in that.
I know. I don't think my mother expected that. It was PG. And you're like,
really?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it was. Well, what would have been there? It wasn't R. It wasn't that bad.
Of course.
Right? And it was even all of the, most of the conversation and language was innuendo. Obviously you can't.
Well, yeah, but enough to trigger some awkward questions. Yeah. Could you all put put your head between your knees? Your own knees, father. There's all kinds of dodgy stuff going in there. What is it? Yeah. How do you take your coffee? Black, like my men.
Yeah.
Gosh, just up in there. I bet your parents were sort of sinking into the seats with it.
Barbara Billingsley is the jive translator.
Oh, yeah. I'm not even going to try and do it.
But the casting of that entire thing, right? And you're just like, it's just so great. But
then again, having said that, the sequel, which the Zucker brothers were not involved with, they had nothing to do with that. And to this day,
William Shatner.
Yeah, well, and it's the courtroom sequence in
on
that.
The screen.
Yes, it just opens up.
And they're just standing there.
It is for Danger Vacuum. Is that the thing where they open it up? And it's just so silly. But for me, it's the courtroom scene on that. I quote the courtroom scene on that all the time, where it says something about. Could you give the court your impression of Mr. Stryker? And he goes, "No, I don't do impressions. My training is in psychiatry." That's just or in my impression, Mr. Stryker could snap just like that. That's it. I love that.
What's so funny is they did such a good job with these movies. You can't make them now because they hit almost every gag, every joke, every pun. They hit them all. And now if you tried to make a movie today like that, everybody go, you're just copying Airplane, or you're copying Cannonball Run, or you're copying all of these movies.
Well, there's a certain irreverence that goes with, Life of Brian. The Life of Brian. Well, The Life of Brian was banned famously pretty much throughout the UK when it came out because, of course, it was deemed to be blasphemous. But it's such a funny film. That film, again, I quote that routinely as well. It's awesome. But yeah, so I wouldn't put Cannibal Run's not anywhere near those kind of movies. but it is very, very good indeed. And as I said, everyone clearly had a fantastic time making it, which is why you get a cameo from Sinatra in Cannonball Run too. Because he'd been told by Sammy Davis Jr. and Dean Martin and Burt Reynolds, we had a riot on this movie, and he agreed to be in it because he's like, well, I want some of that. Although apparently he's only in it very briefly, and he turned up and filmed his scenes at 7 a.m. before anybody else arrived, and left before anybody else had got there. So when you see the scenes, he is playing to stand-ins or a jacket on a mannequin. There was no one there when he did his scenes because he didn't want to be with anybody else. So never mind. Can't defame him. He's not with us anymore. So I don't have to say allegedly. That's apparently what happened.
Yeah. Oh, Smokey and the Bandit. I got that one on Kaleidoscape. Maybe I'll watch that. That's another one.
Yeah. Not quite. It's in 4K. Yeah, it's great. Yeah,
it's 4K HDR. Well. Yeah,
But again, you will be singing the songs from that for days afterwards as well.
Yeah.
Just be warned.
Down.
Oh, absolutely. Oh, man.
And that whole idea, like, you can't even, back then, that was like, in my lifetime, you couldn't get cores on this side. Like, what the heck? You know, it's so weird. On this side of the Mississippi, it was like, it was illegal. Like, what? It's crazy.
Oh, man. But yeah, it's a really cool. And and as I said, so Cannonball Run, definitely get it. Yeah, I mean, John in the chat's talking about Cannonball Run 3. That I never saw. And that should have been called Cannonball Run Contractual Obligation. Or we're only in it for the money. But because I've not seen it, I dread to think.
Oh,
man. Sorry, guys.
So good.
Sorry for the coffee again, guys. I've been teaching for the last 2 days solidly. And my voice is showing me. Teaching me a lesson.
Yeah, there you go. Cool. But yeah, let's get out of here. Get you to bed. Get me to bed. I mean, you're later over there, so thank you. At some point, we may end up moving to 4 o'clock, just to let everybody know. But honestly, I don't even know if I'm cutting it tight to get here for 5 now. I thought I was going to be able to, but
normally, Deej, it's fine. It's only I'm doing assessments this week, so I'm with a lot of actors this week, bizarrely, because we've got actors playing witnesses for the students to cross-examine and examine in chief. So I've been spending time with actors this week. All good as gold, really fun people to be around. So I'm doing assessments, and it's early starts, late finishes, and I've done that yesterday, today, and I'm doing it tomorrow and Thursday. Hence why. But normally, the normal time is fine. It's sort of normally okay. So yeah, don't worry. Don't worry about it from my side of it.
No. All right. We'll get out of here. We'll be back next week. Tuesdays, Takeover Tuesdays, the month of comments. So we'll be on the lookout for that. We'll have more next week. You know, we got to start getting back into the green room over there at AV Nirvana. I'm working on some things there. Maybe get back into that, get some things going, and maybe I can pop in and out. The other thing was the Twitter. You guys were all talking about, Mikey Schramm's puppy. I just found yesterday, for some reason on X or whatever, they redid the bottom. I didn't even know where the community that I made, I couldn't find it. And then I found it yesterday, and I started going back through it, all the comments that people made, and I was like, oh my God, there's Mikey's puppy. So sorry guys, but my mind is elsewhere. I'm like, if I pop in and out of here, sorry, but it's like, but yeah, we got to get going in the green room again. We got to get that chat going again over at AV Nirvana.
And
what's that?
A brief trailer for next week then, just so that people are wondering what it was we were talking about at the start of the show. The movie that I was talking about was The Last Voyage of the Demeter. On Blu-ray disc. It's not in 4K unless it's on Kaleidoscape, as Travis was reminding me earlier, and I know from you. So it's the Blu-ray disc. So I've just had that arrive today from the US, and I watched most of it this evening. I haven't quite finished it yet, but boy, oh boy, is that disc a barnstormer. And we will talk about that in a lot more detail next week. It is awesome. So, if anyone wants to see it in the meantime and get it, I highly recommend it. And it is region-free. No matter what it says online, it's region-free.
Does it have the Atmos, even though it's Blu-ray?
Yeah.
It does? Okay.
Yeah. So it's 1080p, but it's Dolby Atmos. And boy, is it Dolby Atmos.
Yeah. All right.
Tune in next week for that.
I have it. It's it is in 4K HDR with Atmos on Kaleidoscape. So, maybe I'll try to squeak it in. I don't know. I can't make any promises, but what I can promise is I will be back next Tuesday. I promise. We're going to get here. I'm going to do everything I can, move boards and stone to get here every Tuesday. Literally. So yeah, thank you everybody for your patience. Thank you for everything last week. And we're going to keep this thing going. And as I build a new theater and a home around it. So, but until next week, what do you got to do?
Go push play.
What he said.
There you go.
Hey, Fred.
This has been a Hey Fred production with theme music by Jeff Bernhardt and Throne Vault Productions.